Senator Cruz, you have promised to deport illegal aliens. You've also promised to reverse President Obama's executive action that gives temporary amnesty to illegals that were brought here by their parents as children. As president, you would have the names and addresses of the some 800,000 of those that have registered under that action. Now, you have said that in this country we shouldn't go door to door looking for illegals, but in this case, you'd have a list. Would you use it?
Well, you know, your question highlights a sharp difference on immigration on this stage. You know, in a Republican primary, everyone talks tough on immigration. Everyone is against illegal immigration in a Republican primary. But as voters, we've been burned over and over again by people that give us a great campaign speech and they don't walk the walk. There are sharp differences on amnesty. If you look at the folks on this stage, when Harry Reid and Chuck Schumer and establishment Republicans were leading the fight to pass a massive amnesty plan, I stood with Jeff Sessions and Steve King and the American people and led the fight to defeat that amnesty plan.
So would you use the addresses?
Now that moment,
would you pick them up?
That moment was what Reagan would call a time for choosing. When it comes to deciding which side of the line you're on, the Rubio-Schumer amnesty plan, apparently supported by the donor class, which is why Washington supported it. The Rubio-Schumer amnesty plan passed the Senate, and it was on the verge of passing the House. House leadership intended to take it up and pass it with the Democrats overruling most of the Republicans. And the question for anyone on illegal immigration is, where were you in that fight? Where did you stand? You are right. There is a difference between Senator Rubio and me on this question.
We're going to have to do...
Your reply.
We're going to have to do this again, okay? When that issue was being debated, Ted Cruz at a committee hearing very passionately said, I want immigration reform to pass. I want people to be able to come out of the shadows. And he proposed an amendment that would have legalized people here. Not only that, he proposed doubling the number of green cards. He proposed a 500% increase on guest workers. Now his position is different. Now he is a passionate opponent of all those things. So he either wasn't telling the truth then, or he isn't telling the truth now. But to argue he's a purist on immigration is just not true.
Major, I get a response to that.
Very quickly. All right, Senator Cruz, your response, Senator Cruz.
You know, the lines are very, very clear. Marco right now supports citizenship for 12 million people here illegally. I oppose citizenship. Marco stood on the debate stage and said that. But I would note, not only that, Marco has a long record when it comes to amnesty. In the state of Florida, as Speaker of the House, he supported in-state tuition for illegal immigrants. In addition to that, Marco went on Univision in Spanish and said he would not rescind President Obama's illegal executive amnesty on his first day in office. I have promised to rescind every single illegal executive action, including that one. And on the question,
First of all, I don't know how he knows what I said on Univision because he doesn't speak Spanish. And second of all, the other point that I would make...
Marco, si quieres, díselo ahora mismo, díselo ahora. En español, si quieres.
Look, this is a disturbing pattern now, because for a number of weeks now, Ted Cruz has just been telling lies. Right. He lied about Ben Carson in Iowa. He lies about Planned Parenthood. He lies about marriage. He's lying about all sorts of things, and now he makes things up. The bottom line is this is a campaign, and people are watching it, and they see the truth behind all these issues. And here's the truth. Ted Cruz supported legalizing people that were in this country illegally, and only now does he say he will.
That is absolutely false. What he said is knowingly false. And I would note, if you want to assess, who's telling the truth, if you want to assess who's telling the truth, then you should look to Jeff Sessions, who said without Ted Cruz, the Rubio-Schumer amnesty bill would have passed, and Ted was responsible. You should look to Rush Limbaugh and Mark Levin that said,
Senator Cruz,
Marco,
that'll be the last one.
Governor Bush. I'll put the video online, and you can make it.
Governor Bush, I want to bring this out to a little wider philosophical aperture, if you will.
Thank you.
You have said illegal immigrants, quote, broke the law, but it's not a felony. Still quoting you. It's an act of love. It's an act of commitment to your family. Mr. Trump has, as you are well aware, denounced that statement over and over. Do you still believe it? What does that mean to you, and how does that inform your approach to immigration reform?
Great question. I feel like I have to get into my inner Chris Christie and point out that The reason why I should be president is listening to two senators talk about arcane amendments to bills that didn't pass. This is the problem. We need a leader to fix this problem. And I have a detailed plan to do just that, including controlling the border, dealing with the visa overstayers, making sure that we have a path to legal status, not to citizenship, for those that come out from the shadows and pay a fine, learn English, don't commit crimes, work, and pay taxes. That is the better approach.
Fundamentally, do you believe this rhetoric is insufficiently compassionate to this issue?
The great majority of people that come to this country come because they have no other choice. They want to come to provide their families. That doesn't mean it's right. That doesn't mean it's right. We should pick who comes to our country. We should control our border. Coming here legally should be a lot easier than coming here illegally. But the motivation, they're not all rapists, as you know who said. They're not that. These are people that are coming to provide for their families. And we should show a little more respect for the fact that they're struggling. It doesn't mean we shouldn't be controlling the border. That's exactly what we should be doing.
Mr. Trump,
Look, when I announced that I was running for president on June 16th, illegal immigration wasn't even a subject. If I didn't bring it up, you wouldn't even be talking. Now, I don't often agree with Marco, and I don't often agree with Ted, but I can in this case. The weakest person on the stage by far on illegal immigration is Jeb Bush. They come out of an act of love, whether you like it or not. He is so weak on illegal immigration, it's laughable, and everybody knows it.
So, you know, this is the standard operating procedure to disparage me. That's fine. I don't really
spend
care
a little
about it.
more money on the
I can handle it.
commercials.
But if you want to talk about weakness, it's weak to disparage women. It's weak to disparage Hispanics.
I don't disparage.
It's weak to denigrate the disabled. And it's really weak to call John McCain a loser because he was a POW.
I never called him. No, I don't call
That
him
is
a-
outrageous. He's an American hero.
He also
The simple
said
fact
about
is,
language.
I've laid out my plans
He said
as it
about
relates to
language. My
immigration.
language. 2 days ago, he said he would take his pants off and moon everybody, and that's fine. Nobody reports that. He gets up and says that, and then he tells me, "Oh, my language was a little bit rough."
Okay.
My language.
Governor Kasich.
Give me a break.
Governor Kasich. Here in South Carolina earlier this week, you said the idea, the concept of deporting 11 million undocumented workers here.
Make sure my mother's listening if she's watching the debate. I didn't
did
say that
say
I was
it.
going to move
You did
somebody.
say it. It's been reported in 10 different newspapers.
We will leave the moon metaphors to be adjudicated later, I assure you. Governor Kasich, you said earlier this week in South Carolina, the concept, the idea of deporting 11 million undocumented workers in this country is nuts. Why is it you are so opposed to that idea? Senator Cruz has said it's a simple application of existing law. The application of that is not inhumane, it is just. Why do you disagree?
Yeah, before I get to that, this is the 9th or the 10th debate. And when I've been watching here, this back and forth, and these attacks, some of them are personal. I think we're fixing to lose the election to Hillary Clinton if we don't stop this. I mean, the fact is, you know what I would suggest? Why don't we just take all the negative ads and all the negative comments down from television and let us just talk about what we're for, and let's sell that, and the Republican Party will be stronger as a result. Now, back to...
What are you for on immigration?
Because, Major, you know this. Look, first of all, I'm for sealing the border, okay? And then I'm for a guest worker program. People can come in, work, and go back home. We haven't closed the border because special interests, I believe, blocked it. Then we have 11.5 million people here. If they have not committed a crime since they've been here, make them pay a fine and some back taxes and give them a path to legalization, never to citizenship. It is not going to happen that we're going to run around and try to drag 11.5 million people out of their homes. I'll tell you this. Within the first 100 days, I will send a plan like this to the Congress of the United States, and if I'm president, I'll bet you dollars to donuts right now it will pass. That is a reasonable proposal that the people of this country, in my judgment, will support, and so will the bulk of the Congress of the United States.